And I know it's an inflammatory thumbnail, but that's kind of the main idea. But it's not really the only reason I stopped using the OP-1. So I haven't totally stopped using the OP-1 to be fair, but the last time I used it was over 2 months ago, and it was to make a video about samplers for this channel. I haven't played with it and used it to kind of write music in even longer than that, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 months. But I would be lying if I said that this didn't revolutionize the way that I think about and approach and make music. So I kind of want to get into a little bit of a story. And this will hopefully give you some insights into why I stopped using the OP-1 as my primary means of music making. So yeah, if you've been following me on Instagram or here, you may know that the OP-1 is like where I cut my teeth on electronic music, outside of a DAW that is. It was my first real piece of hardware that I got along with. I had a Volca sample, I've had various pocket operators, and I just really clicked with the OP-1. It was my first real piece of professional quality electronic music hardware that I was using, and I used it to make 2 full albums. And if you've watched my Digitakt review, you'll have heard this story before, but after I got the OP-1, I was kind of looking for a companion piece to work alongside of it, or just for kind of like a different workflow even. I ended up getting a Digitakt, and I messed around with it for about a week, and I was just using the headphone jack, and it was fun, but I wasn't really totally getting along with it. And the first time I routed my Digitakt into my audio interface with the stereo outputs, I noticed that the left output wasn't working. And I did some troubleshooting, and I ended up returning it just because there was a factory defect. The output didn't work. All the while, in the background, I had been considering getting into modular synths. And when I made the decision to return the Digitakt, I kind of made the decision to try getting into modular instead of using that grid-based electron workflow sequencer focused approach. It just didn't feel right for me. I wasn't absolutely loving the things I was coming up with on the Digitakt when I first got it. And at this point, this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so we're talking a while back. But yeah, I ended up turning in the Digitakt and using that money to get myself into modular instead. I got a few modules to start off, and that took off like crazy. I ended up expanding to a 7U case, and I ended up recording 2 full albums with modular and OP-1 and guitar. It was my absolute dream workflow, and I couldn't get enough of it. But soon, as I started to expand with my modular, I found myself growing away from the OP-1 in favor of just composing things on the modular system. When I was using the OP-1 and modular together, I found that I was building these really sort of like intensely building and evolving loop-based music pieces and arrangements. And I feel like a lot of people complain about that when they think about the OP-1. They think, it's just good for like making loops and creating ideas. And I've always refuted that claim very strongly. But when I look back, I realized that a lot of my music was loop-based. It doesn't make a song any less of a song just because it kind of like evolves a progression. There are lots of genres of music that are based just on that. But I was kind of looking for something different. And as I was fumbling around on YouTube, as I do on a daily basis, as you are doing right now, I decided to watch some more Digitakt videos. I don't know what struck me, but I ended up binging a few tutorials just to remind myself of what the workflow was like. And I ended up getting one for myself for my birthday last year, kind of on a whim. It was an impulse buy, but it felt right at the time. And I don't really understand why, but everything about it just clicked with me that second time around. And I was able to get really deep into the electron workflow and parameter locking and editing steps per sound and just flying off the cuff with, developing patterns and making progressions and really getting pretty detailed in terms of structure of songs. And I found this so much easier to do on the Digitakt than I ever did on the OP-1. Not that I even really tried to do that on the OP-1, because that's not what I used it for. And it definitely is possible. Just watch any of Redmeans Recording's old OP-1 videos and you can see that you can easily make songs with a typical song structure with the OP-1 and the OP-1 only. But I found this workflow to come more naturally with the Digitakt. So as I tend to do, I got hyper fixated on learning the Digitakt in and out and ended up really getting into sort of this YouTube channel because of the Digitakt. It definitely kind of sparked some inspiration to take my experience of how I failed at learning it in the first place and wanting to turn that around to kind of show other people my process. And I've done the same with the OP-1 on the channel too, showing some of my tips and tricks. But there's something about the electron workflow that's really just taken a hold of me right now. And I know it's an inflammatory thumbnail, but that's kind of the main idea. But it's not really the only reason I stopped using the OP-1. I'm actually having an issue with my OP-1's battery, where the battery seems to be draining even when it's not charging. And I know a lot of people have had issues with the battery LED indicator and other kind of strange issues with the battery acting quirkily, but I've found that I have to keep the power switch in kind of like a middle position if I want the battery to not drain, and otherwise it will only turn on when it's plugged in. And since I've had it for about 5 years now, I know that it's not going to be covered under the factory warranty, and I'm going to have to pay for that repair. I'm avoiding doing that. That is honestly probably the biggest reason I've stopped using the OP-1 in spite of all of that about my workflow and songwriting. It's just, I mean, you know, the OP-1, one of the biggest features about it is its portability, and it's not really portable for me anymore because I have to have it plugged in to use it, which is kind of a shame. So I'm procrastinating, just biting the bullet and spending the money to get it fixed because I feel like I shouldn't have to get it fixed. I just want it to work, and I have a great setup that does work now that has been just like so prolific for me. I feel like I've been putting out so much stuff, getting a lot of ideas down really quickly. So I don't feel like it's a hindrance for me to not have access to my OP-1 in the way that I typically do. And to be totally honest, my desert island device really has become the Digitakt right now, kind of knocking the OP-1 off of that position. Even without the Digitone, I would say the Digitakt, I think, has just been more inspiring to me recently. And I understand that that can come and go in waves, and I do not doubt that the OP-1 has a place in my future. Once I kind of maybe feel like I've exhausted the Electron workflow. It could be 6 months, it could be 2 years from now, but I definitely have a feeling that I'll come back to the OP-1 and start using that a lot more. I'm just kind of still on that honeymoon phase of the Digitakt and the Digitone right now. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the OP-1. This video is all about personal workflow, personal preference, and just my general journey in terms of how I've been making electronic music for the past few years. This guy is not going anywhere, so don't worry if you originally found the channel because of this lovely beast. It's just taken a bit of a backseat in favor of some other synths that maybe if you've been hesitant about getting into them, you can use my story to inspire yourself to kind of learn different workflows and try out different devices. For some reason, that first experience I had with the Digitakt was really disappointing, and I wasn't disappointed in the device itself because I had seen so many people do really, really great stuff with it. I was more so frustrated with myself for not being able to figure out that workflow in a way that best suited my music at the time. And it seems kind of weird because modular is arguably an infinitely complex form of making electronic music because there are no boundaries. It can be whatever you want it to be, and option paralysis can run abound. And that's kind of what I felt like with the Digitakt, but I went modular instead. I think just kind of like teaching myself some really basic building blocks, how they work independently, and then synthesizing those all together to create a machine that was bigger than the sum of its parts helped me kind of understand why the Digitakt could be such a powerful option for a lot of people in the right capable hands. And I feel like with that knowledge, my hands became the right capable hands. So yeah, maybe I realized that in the back of my head and it kind of inspired me to treat myself to it, but I'm really glad that I did. Again, it was super impulse buy. Like I think I literally Googled used Digitakt the day before my birthday and found one at my local Guitar Center, which boo, but it was a really great price and it was basically right across the street from me. So I said, why not? Anyways, that was a bit of a rambly way to explain my musical journey the past few years and to explain why this one hasn't been showing up as much as it had been in the past. I will say that the OP-1 really got me into like posting music on Instagram quite a bit. And I was doing that a lot with the Digitakt, but then I kind of stopped that in favor of the sort of long form stuff because I felt that it was more deserving of being put under the microscope, and the OP-1 was kind of more of like a, hey, look what cool thing I did. Type of vibe on social media. So that's kind of another piece. But anyways, yeah, I urge you to check out some of my other OP-1 and Digitakt stuff, specifically the reviews that I have out on both. If you're considering either of them, I also have a Digitakt versus OP-1 video that can help you kind of see how I implement them with real musical examples. And I hope those videos can be of help if you're considering either of the two devices for yourself. Anyways, thanks so much for stopping by as always. I hope you enjoy your day. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.